Shalom, my family. Shalom, shalom, Zion. So listen, um, quick video. Most High is showing me how one of the stumbling blocks with Israel is that a lot of us have not read the whole Bible. Simple. Gotta read the whole Bible, man. Gotta read Genesis to Revelation. Gotta read the entire script to get an understanding. And not just one time either. You know, over and over and over again. Like how it says in Yahusha, one, you got to meditate in it day and night, right? Because ultimately, I'm going to tell you, foreign doctrines and things that are outside of Torah, that are outside of the word, they get into our people subconsciously because we haven't familiarized ourselves with the word enough for it to take root, right? So it's just like this. It's almost like, in school, right? When people were studying for tests, people have different methods of studying, right? But if you at least don't take the time to at least read the material, then you're not gonna do well on the test unless you read or are familiar with this information some type of other way, right? When the tests come around, you're gonna fail it, and it's the same thing with Israel, man. Like we're failing in Israel because we haven't read the whole Bible and we don't even commit ourselves to doing it. Now, again, there's a difference. Let me explain the difference. There's a difference between reading it just to understand the information that's in it, and then reading it to study it and chew on it and to meditate on it, right? My recommendation, and again, everybody's different with how they learn and how their brain processes information, but for me, I had to just read through it a couple times. This is when I was, in my early 20s. I might have been like 20 years old, 2021. I had to read through it a couple times to just get it in me. And then over time, I read it more than that with the studying element of it. And then years later, once I got into truth, I was, almost 30 when I came into truth. I was pretty much in my 30s when I came into truth, right? The Most High literally allowed me a deeper level of understanding, but I had to read through it over and over and over again. I might be on my ninth, 10th time reading it all the way through to the studying element of it at this point. And obviously incorporating the Hebrew letters, right, and the Hebrew meanings for words, it just brings a whole nother type of understanding that you get from this word. But it's important. You gotta at least start with reading the manual, reading the manuscript. I remember when I was a kid, when we used to buy things, right? My dad would buy like an exercise bike or buy some type of something for the house, an appliance for the house or something, and it would never fail. We would always try to do it ourselves, and then after hours of just struggling with it and getting frustrated, my mom or somebody would be like, "Yeah, did you read the manual?" And it's like, over time, that became a rule of thumb in the house. Like, yeah, when all else fails, read the manual. Well, it shouldn't be when all else fails. It should be off rip. Immediately, we should read the manual. So it's the same way with this word, man. We got to read the whole Bible. Shaul says, study to show yourselves to be approved, right? In other words, it's like, man, if we're not studying, then I'm telling you, man, that's how the enemy who comes to kill, steal, and destroy, that's how he creeps in, right? Because he sees, oh, you ain't been studying that text. Let me go ahead and give him this Trinity doctrine and see if he bite it. Oh, he bit it. Cool. Nah, not biblical. You reading Torah, you in Deuteronomy, you'll see that that's really going all the way back to Exodus. No other Elohims before me. There's one Elohim, right? Shoot, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, the Haaretz and the Shamayim, or the Shamayim and the Haaretz. In other words, it's like, man, because we spend so much time on other things, our focus is on making money and being popular and having comfortable lifestyles and, all this other stuff, man. It takes us away from our focus. Therefore, the enemy is easily able to creep into the home, right? Which is the seat of your mind, the seat of your authority. So again, we as a people, man, we gotta read the Bible. We have to read the whole Bible. Even the books that you think don't matter. Everything matters when it comes to this Bible. Everything. The minor prophets, they not minor when you really read what these guys were saying, and a lot of the prophetic words that they spoke. The Most High used them to speak into existence, into the earth. A lot of them line up with the Revelation. A lot of them line up with a lot of the other major prophetic books, right? Torah, books like Ruth, books like Esther. You know, you got Hebrews that talking about they don't celebrate. Here's the reason why I don't celebrate Purim. Here's the reason why I don't celebrate. It's like, bro, you don't read, you don't know, you don't study you don't know your history, you don't know your culture. So you're throwing out feast days that were dearly important to our people, right? This Bible is literal. It's literal. That's why you have to read it to understand it. It's literal. It's a literal word, right? Yeah, some stuff carries spiritual meaning, but I'm telling you, man, when Moshe parted the Red Sea, he literally parted the actual Red Sea with a staff. It actually happened. And if you don't believe that, then that shows the level of faith that you're on. Like, you don't have any, right? Same thing with Yahusha. When he stopped the sun, I'm talking about Yahusha, son of Nun. When the sun stood still, the sun literally stood still in the sky. It was not an analogy. It was not a metaphor. It actually happened. So again, man, it's like we have to read, we have to study, man. We have to study. That way, when it comes to books that they did take out, right? Because you guys do know that there were books that they purposely took out to hide our history from us, right? You do know that, right? Again, that way when we mention these books or when we refer to these books, they're not so foreign. Think about it, man. Your enemy, this slave master, right? The satanically influenced European slave owners and masters would literally gouge out the eyes of slaves who attempted to read and study the Bible, right? It was illegal for you to read that Bible. Why? Because it's your history that's in it. And they know eventually if you wake up to it, then you actually follow and do what it says. So they want you to have those type of mindsets where, oh yeah, I don't keep this feast, I don't keep that feast, I don't do this, I don't, you know, they want you being confused. They want you picking and choosing what you want to do and what you don't want to do, like how they do. That's the way of the heathen, right? And the only way you can be led astray by that type of thinking is if what? You have not read the Bible. You've got to read it. You've got to read it. You got to read it. That's where it starts. It starts with you reading. And all you're getting, get an understanding. How can you get an understanding? You know, get wisdom. And all you're getting, get an understanding. That's in Proverbs. I want to say chapter 2, right? But how can you get an understanding if you haven't even read it? Our people perish for a lack of knowledge. Why? Because they have rejected knowledge. So again, man, the knowledge comes from that word. It comes from that Torah. I can't say it or stress it enough. We've got to read the whole Bible. Not just our favorite verses. Not just our favorite chapter. Not just John 3:16. You know what I mean? We have to read the entire thing. And for some of you Hebrews, I mean, don't get me wrong. Torah is for sure the foundation. The first 5 books. Genesis, Exodus, also, Bereshit, Shemot, Leviticus, Vayikra, Numbers, Bamidbar, and then Deuteronomy, Devarim, right? That's the foundation, right? But you have to read more than that, though. You have to read the prophetic books. You have to read the Judges. You have to read Yahusha. You have to read First and Second Samuel, First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles. You have to read about these things. You have to read about your history. This is your history. I can't stress it enough, and that's one of the reasons why it's like Israel is stagnant. My wife delivered an excellent message the other day talking about how Israel is stagnant, but I'm telling you, part of the main reasons why Israel is stagnant is because, one, Israel doesn't have the prayer life that they should, and 2, Israel does not study the way that they should. Those 2 things should go hand in hand, right? How do you build a house? You build the foundation of a house with prayer, right? By doing what Hamashiach teaches, which is Torah, right? So again, I'm gonna get on no soapbox, but I just wanted to share that with y'all, man. It's important to read the whole Bible, Genesis to the Revelation, the entire book, all of it. All of it is good for doctrine, for reproof, right? For correction, right? All of these things. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. Definitely got a excellent word for Shabbat on tomorrow. I'm excited. I pray that you all are as well, and I hope to see you then. Shalom, family.